The best facility for our community will deliver research, it'll deliver education, it'll deliver health, and help our people understand, first of all, how they can recover and how they can lead healthier lives. We had expectations in terms of what we would get out of a visit by the Danish students to Blacktown, and what we were keen to do was convey that there is more to Sydney than just the eastern seaboard and that postcard view of Sydney that everybody internationally knows, you know, the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. And we wanted them to experience a bit of Western Sydney and just see what we were about. What we also wanted to show was that there are similarities between what the Opera House has achieved. It's very iconic, memorable, it's established an identity for Sydney, and we have expectations that our best project will do something similar. It will help establish an identity for Blacktown through the provision of the services there, but also through the architecture. The students that came out are part of sort of like an exchange program. They get to come out here and experience the Opera House. So they're students that are at the top of their class in their different disciplines. They came out primarily to engage with the architecture of Utzon, the architect of the Opera House, just to experience it, because as you can imagine, that they have very strong ties to it. Denmark has a very strong design culture, and they were here to experience a product of Denmark, in essence, but designed for Australia.
I think architecture really has a power to attract people, and also attract people from many different cultures. I think it's something you see all over, not only in Sydney with, for example, the Sydney Opera House, but also in many other cities around the world. And I think it's something that can be applied not only to big cities like Sydney or maybe New York City or London, but also actually smaller towns and communities, that if they build a new cultural building or a building for the community that somehow is very interesting to a lot of people, that can attract people and put focus on these like local towns. Utzon draws a lot of inspiration from the natural environment. So we know, for example, with the Sydney Opera House, he looked at the topographical maps of the Sydney Harbour. I think he would possibly have done the same here in Blacktown, even though there's no harbour. Taking inspiration from old topographical maps and also as a way to connect to the nature. I think that's something he would always strive to do in his projects. So it's probably something he would also do in Blacktown.
Blacktown is a big contrast to the CBD of Sydney. It's a lot more grounded in that way, like you actually got some space above your head, and that's very nice. You got like, things are a little bit more scattered, but you also see like people like using the spaces a bit more. So compared to CBD, I mean, it's a business district and people, they usually are there for work. But when that closes down, there's nobody there basically. I mean, after lunch, there's no people at the cafes. I don't know if this was lunch break that we went to now, but there was definitely people like going around and like using the stores, and yeah, it seemed like there's some social life here. That's pretty nice. So far my view of Blacktown has been, yeah, pretty good. It seems like a nice place.
I think it's super cool. It's very playful. Like, you don't see a lot of buildings with that many shapes and that much silliness, if you can say it like that. It's very close to being a sports facility. You can really see that it's what it's for. I think it's super cool that you can see on the facade that it reflects what's inside the building.
It's very impressive. I think I like the connection, like the architects explained, that the connection with the wall, just going kind of having a path through the building. I think that's very impressive with the choice of materials. You can see that real connection to the sports community. And I think that's really inspiring in some sense, because you know in what area you are and you know what you came here to do. So I think it's very motivating for people to actually be involved in the sports, and having such an amazing infrastructure.
It looks like a very interesting building, I think. It's looking quite funky and different from many other buildings, also many other sports facilities. So for sure it's going to be a super interesting building to visit. And even though the facade is actually black and it's very contrasting to, for example, the Sydney Opera House, it's also a very reflective facade. So I think in real life, it's not going to be seen as dark. It's actually going to reflect the sun and different colors maybe also. So it's going to be a very living and vibrant building to look at.